Welcome to the Friendlyjordies Podcast. I hope everyone is doing well. Jordan, I need some clarity on our first segment.
Go on.
Apparently, Australian banks, the consensus is that the property bubble is about to... They're saying that the prices are going to depreciate by 20%
Jesus.
by next year.
Well, they've already gone down 10.
They've already gone down 10.
Holy
They're going to
shit.
go down 20%. In Sydney in particular, then Melbourne is about 17%, Brisbane is about 15%. But either way, the only two cities that they're saying that the property prices are not going to go down as much are Perth
Darwin.
and Darwin.
Yeah, it has to be Darwin.
But that's still, they're still saying that that's still going to be a 7% decline. The question is,
Jesus, what's that? 50 cents a house.
what the hell is happening, Jordan?
Just a pack of ghost drops for a house.
You were talking about something that I think has a little to do with it. Do you want to shed some light on it? The mortgage repayments going up and what caused,
Well, because I see everything in the lens of Attack on Titan. Shout out Neckbeards, you ready for this? Here's what we can share so far. Which is...
Giants are going to invade Sydney.
Well, that's obviously going to screw with the housing price, but it shouldn't explain a 20% drop, surely. Like, if a giant stepped on a house in the Shire, I'd just be like, oh, okay, just take that down from 3 bedrooms to 1.
Yeah.
It's still usable.
Yeah,
just chuck
true.
tarps on it.
Oh, for sure.
It'll regain its value, don't you
It's
worry.
worth the land alone.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, just you got an instant pool in the
Yeah,
footprint.
yeah, you should be thankful.
That increased the value. What are you
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
it's increasing value.
No, it's not because of that. Well, everybody knows this, right? It's because the Reserve Bank is obviously just upping interest rates a lot. And that, coupled in with a housing market where you saw houses that used to go for $4 million, which we used to think was absurd, and that was a mansion price just 10 years ago at the beginning of the Liberal Party. At the end, and this is just where it gets to, you look, at this point, you may as well just say, yeah, that house is $1 trillion. But no one in the world has that kind of money. And it's just like, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. $14 million by the end of the Liberals. So they just artificially increased it $10 million. Now, that's on the high end of town where obviously Japanese investors that, invest in sushi stocks or something get that. But can you imagine the average Australian on 2 incomes even, well off, paying off a $2 million loan when all they had to put down was $100,000 if it is anything more than virtually no interest? So as soon as it goes up, because this is what's happened already, right? Interest rates used to be around 3%. They're already at 7%.
Fuck.
When it goes up further, Ali, it could get as high as 10 to 11% interest from
Fuck.
like 3.
Jesus.
No one's going to be able to afford that. So I think, honestly, when they're saying the Reserve Bank treasurer is going to go down 20%, you know what they're really saying? They're just saying, oh, we predict that that's what's going to happen with the interest rates going up, not factoring in that everybody, when they have to renegotiate their mortgages, they're out. They're going to have to sell their house.
Because that's one of the things that's different for Australia. For anyone that's like watching us from the UK or something, their system's a little different where you can actually fix your interest rate for the 30-year duration.
I swear you can
can?
do that
Yeah,
here.
you can. You can't do that here. So
you
most
sure?
of the fixed rates are usually for 4 years, 5 years. So what that means is that as the interest rates go up, all of those people that are going to renegotiate their interest rate, it's going to shoot up. And the problem is, if you've bought a property recently and you were financially stressed, your mortgage repayment, it doubles sometimes. So the interest, and once
Don't like the sound of
unless
that.
you're able to like hold on to it, you're screwed. You're gonna have to default, which means that property is gonna have to come into the market to pay off the bank, which is gonna cause a domino effect. And all of the prices are going to go down. Now, what you're saying about...
Don't you think that's more than just 10% by the end of
So
2023?
it all depends on, Jordan, inflation. Inflation is not stopping. So they've been increasing interest rates for about like 6 months now, 5 months or something.
It's slowing down, though.
It's 7.9%. In fact, today, RBA has increased the interest rates just today 0.5%, which was a shock because for most...
0.25.
0.25?
Yeah, they thought that.
No,
They thought that they were
was
going to increase it by that. Yeah,
They're going to increase a lot more because the inflation rate hit 7.9% when they were predicting that it might be around 7.6, 7.7%. So the thing is, no one really knows when this inflation is going to get curbed. There are estimates that it's probably going to keep increasing until 2025, which means that interest rates and this 20% price drop that we're talking about is maybe the best case scenario.
For people that are in the housing market, for people that are out of the housing market, that is the worst case scenario.
Wait,
The
which
only
I'm proudly
people,
in.
the
wait,
only
is that
people
right,
that
though?
this,
doesn't that mean the prices drop, so you'll be able to afford to
yeah,
buy?
but like your repayments will, you're still not going to be able. So let's say you were able to get a loan of $500,000. Now with the price drop, your borrowing capacity will be $350,000 because you're earning the same amount of money. So it's all dependent on how much money you're earning.
Right.
So-
Okay.
Which will make housing go low. So this is what I'm saying. I actually think that how much housing has dropped is actually a lot more than 10%, but that's just what the figures are showing. My evidence for that being purely anecdotal, which as we all know is the best type of evidence.
Agreed.
And it's because, I've got a mate, but he's trying to sell a house. 2017, bought it for like $680,000, which I know Perth people will be like, wow, you just Gina Reinhardt's mansion. But in Australia, that he
In
owns
Australia.
most Sislaks.
In
In
Australia.
actual Australia. Real Australia.
It does feel like that. It feels like it's not Australia, but yeah.
Yeah. Shoebox, Mo Sislak's house. That's what he owns. Mo Sislak's house. So Mo Sislak's house, I was saying, how's that going? He said, haven't got a bite. 2 months. It's been on the market for 2 months, not a single bite. If he put that on the market, I reckon, honestly, a minute before he did, it would have been picked up the next day by a Chinese investor. The day before. The other thing, and this was newsworthy, and it truly is newsworthy. This is going to mean absolutely nothing to anybody else, but Paddington, which is, I think, the greatest designed suburb in the country.
Yeah.
Really, like, I think that if we designed every suburb like Paddington, urban sprawl gone, the way that all this idea of like making green suburbs, you can't get any more green than
Delis
Paddington.
suddenly appear.
Paddington
Thomas
is
Ducks,
not
everything
developed
instead of
right.
Woolworths.
You can never fit a Hummer on those streets.
Yeah, yes. You're such a...
tiny.
Spoken like a true Westie. Fucking hell.
But do you remember when we
my
saw?
Horlocks?
Do you remember that Hummer in Paddington that would just block every street and don't?
Did you ever see that move?
Yeah.
You were there.
No, I wasn't there when it was like. I've seen it over there, but you guys told me like it's impossible for it to
was
go out.
driving on the footpath, half of it down the road like that, and it was the only interaction I've ever had with anyone in Paddington because they're all rich uppity, so they never talk to anyone. They think they're better than everybody else, and let's be honest, they are. But it was going down the footpath, and then Dome King and I stared at each other and went, "Man, what a cunt!" And I still remember it to this day. One of those women that it's hard to tell if she's a bag lady or a billionaire, which is the real look of Paddington. She
that's
just
the
goes,
way now.
hard to believe, isn't it? And I was just like, someone talked.
Someone spoke to me.
We both freaked out. Ran home.
Yeah. Ran home.
Changed the world.
Yeah, ran.
I mean,
not
unless
Halloween.
that's Arnold Schwarzenegger in there, you are such a dickhead.
Yeah.
You cannot have that there.
Nah, you just can't. There's no point.
But that was what was so good about Paddington because it just forces you to have teeny cars that are more fuel efficient.
Yeah.
Everything's more fuel efficient. Everything's walkable. There's
I
trees
do
and
love
parks
the car,
everywhere.
but Yeah. I mean, it's
No, it was a
different.
joke. A Hummer's a
on everything.
joke.
Yeah.
It
No,
is
no, but
that-
you're
like
right, yeah.
it's actually my lawyer just went on this massive rant about it, and he's so right. He was just saying, look, you can see it in Melbourne. Melbourne, all of those beautiful streets that have the two-way roads that are nice and open. Then it has this park strip in between, like a literal park where you,
Yeah.
if this was New York, squirrels would just be flocking to it.
Yeah,
And then you have the tram line. And he was looking at that, and then all of a sudden it turns into Sydney Street, which is exactly like Sydney. It's a real joke of Melbourne to make the worst street in
Sydney Street.
Sydney Street, obviously. Of course they would. But it turns into that. And then he was looking at the buildings, and then all of a sudden, as soon as Federation hit, 1905, 1910, that's all the buildings. That's when Australia turned to shit, when they were just like, we're our own country, we don't need what Britain had. But Britain had it right. Because Britain went through the Industrial Revolution, so they knew how to make, keep the country, like they had the exact.
Infrastructure,
Someone thought in Britain exactly what Slavoj Žižek was saying about the world, which is you got to start thinking about the entire planet as a park. That's a garden. It's a garden now.
Yes,
like it's just we own the entire planet at this point.
Yes.
So you have to manage it like that,
Yeah.
which is exactly what Britain did. Britain should just look like fucking Bangladesh or India or something like that. Like it should look disgusting, but it's like these beautiful little nice cottages with the common grounds for everybody to
There's
walk
a lot
amongst.
of parks.
A lot of parks
Hampstead
everywhere.
Heath. Yeah.
That was because someone else was thinking back there, and back then in that day there was some motivator other than money. And so everything, it just looks like a nice country garden, the entire country. That's how the world should look. But anyway, sorry, this was all to go into this main point, Ali, which is that a terrace in Paddington, which is everyone should know from Sydney, you look at that and it's basically the same size as your apartment, but you sit there and you just think like, well, you know, God, it would have been good to have been born in 1960. When I could have got one of them. It's just impossible to get.
Yeah, and keep in mind they are apartments built for Welsh midget coal miners. Just want to put that out there.
But God, they look stylish.
They look amazing, but it's just insane.
Is there any? Have you seen this, Ali? You would have, because you've been in Paddington. You've seen a house, like one of those Welsh coal miner, essentially slave labor storehouses. Yeah. Converted for the modern era.
So nice.
Looks stunning.
They're basically terraces.
They always look
so
good.
They're
shoeboxes.
The one thing that I must point out that even though it doesn't apply, but like they're much bigger than you think they are from the outside. When you because like when we used to hang out at our friend's house, it's actually like it's very like it's not wide. But it's long as
and tall too. It's
and tall, and you can you can go to. I don't know what's the regulations. Can you even go 3 if you want to?
You can't do anything there because
they're heritage
the
as well.
rule of Australia. If there are enough old biddies in your suburb, nothing is ever going to change.
Yeah.
The only thing that's ever going to change is that the corner stores will change their font out the front with how gentrified it gets to getting more and more in squiggly running writing. That's it. That's the only change that's just allowed by the council, and even that is going to take 30 years for you to get past. Yeah. Anyway, one of those terraces went for $250,000 under the asking price. That hasn't happened since 1990.
That's crazy.
That is the sign of a housing bubble that has burst. Right there.
But an apartment, a little dilapidated fucking little shit box in Surrey Hills just sold for 1.3.
But dude, here's the thing.
That's cheap.
That's cheap, miss.
Shit.
It's sold for. You mentioning that reminds me. They sold a Surrey Hills, like a little terrace, which was basically run down. So you just had to like remake the entire thing.
Yeah, that's what this was.
They sold it for $1.3 million in the year 2017, 2018.
Fuck.
That house that you're talking, I haven't seen it, but a $1.3 million house would have gone up to close to 1.6, 1.8 million.
There you go.
In 2020. And so now the fact that it's back to 1.3 should raise alarm bells. Here's another anecdote. Insane. Remember that friend who came to the show, who used to work at Dan Murphy's with me? You met him?
I like that guy.
Anyways, his anecdote was, so in 2020, his parents were forcing him to get any kind of property because, you know, the prices were going up and they thought this is how you get rich. He borrowed and he bought an apartment in the outskirts of Sydney because his job wasn't that great, right? As soon as he buys it, the property market is going down, the interest rate go up. His job is basically the same to the point where his mortgage is increased by $300. He cannot afford it, so he's stressing out. He's about to default until he finds a gold mine of a job, which pays him $75 an hour. And if I tell you what this job is, you're going to...
Escort.
It's like he works for Department of Education, and this is his job. He helps teachers transition from having mental... basically
Finally,
that.
Some representation in the public schools.
If you go on like a mental health break for months, then he's the one who sort of helps you transition back into work. And he gets paid $75 an hour. So he's managed to hold on to these shitty properties.
Is very necessary, yes.
I mean,
he was saying that it's ridiculous. This is just a gold mine. It's a government job. So he's like, their rates are insane. And the job is like way less stressful than what he was doing before, which was selling insurance or some shit. So he lucked out. But what he was saying is like, dude, I was this close to defaulting within the first year of buying my house.
Really?
So that anecdote tells you that you're potentially seeing a lot more defaults coming.
So you're on board with me, right? That what the papers are saying is completely bunk.
Well, again, there's too many variables here. It again depends on the inflation rate. If it keeps increasing, then we're gonna face a 1980s like recession, which is the inflation just keeps going up for the longest time, and by the end of that stopped by some really brave American politicians deciding to plunge America into a deep recession. Kind of what Paul Keating did. Remember his thing of like, this was a recession we needed to have.
I don't know why everyone still gives him shit for that.
Yeah, but like,
why?
Potentially, we might have to do that again.
But hang on. Why did they always say, "Oh, he was the one that said the recession we had to have"?
Yeah, because recessions suck.
Yeah, I know, but he was right.
He was right. And if he hadn't done that, you would have been screwed. So what he did was like, it's not that he wanted to do it, it's just that he didn't have any option. And we might be heading towards the same thing where all of these conservative predictions are like, all right, well, the interest rate's going to keep, the inflation rate's going to keep going until 2023. And then by 2024, it's going to go down. The economy is going to be back on track by 2025. Maybe, but maybe no. Maybe the inflation rates keeps going up.
Is it still going up in America?
It's going up everywhere. And Australia was predicting, because I remember looking at Australian predictions, they were saying by now interest rate would start dropping inflation rate would start dropping because we've been increasing the interest rate. Nope. It's still going up. And we don't know exactly where this is going to stop. There's plenty of people saying that this might not stop for 4 years, which means that 20% drop of property, 50 minimum.
Wow.
And
But
50% drop. But the worst thing is, Jordan, you think that, people are going to be able to buy a house. No, they're not going to be able to even buy that 50%.
Why?
Because their wages are still the same, and the interest rates are off the roof. I don't know. Did we do something wrong?
I don't get a check.
Sorry. No, I thought Stig was saying something.
I don't get a. I always forget how this shit works.
The only
Can't
person
the banks just be like, nah.
The only person that's benefiting from this economy, Jordan, is going to be you.
Why?
Exactly.
You're going to be benefiting a lot
country
from
plunging for me.
He's going to. This is the perfect scenario for you. So anyone that has a high borrowing capacity or has disposable income, the best time to buy, bro. The best time to buy. You are the winner in this.
And that's why I keep saying to everybody
losers.
here, make sure that you sign up to the Jordan Shanks podcast, all of the Patreons that we have, because there is a desperate nationally touring comedian here that wants to buy that seashell house that I was talking about before. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your contributions. We can make this happen.
Very sweet of you all.
No, but this is honestly, I always think that this is one of the greatest things that Tony Robbins ever said, which is always, and this is just a lesson for life. We're in winter now, and you're just going to have to bear that out. But you treat summer like winter. And then when winter comes, it's summer.
You got to squeeze every penny. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's a caricature of him from The Simpsons.
So yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
We'll move on from this segment because there's a few more. But I got this. I was watching a lecture by, who's that really old man who's partners with Warren Buffett? He's like 100 years old.
Yeah.
He's an economic wizard. But this was his advice. He was asked, what would you say to individual investors today? What should they invest in a period of high constant inflation? And his advice was, I'm just repeating his advice. He was saying that, first of all, you need to sometimes pick the worst of the worst, the least worst solution. So he's saying that normally people say diversify your investments. So if you're doing shares, you should do shares, crypto, you should do property, whatever you can do, diversify. It's like in these circumstances, it's impossible to find 20 good bets. So try to find 4 good ones And if you're lucky to find 4, you're going to be all right. He's like, and the basic ones are saying
Cement.
if you're buying shares, try to buy stable shares. Things like Costco. These were his examples. Things like Costco, Alphabet, Apple. And he's
Tesla?
like, and just hold on to it until these choppy waves are gone by. The second thing he still said is housing. He's like, get one housing thing in an area that in the long run is going to give you a benefit. Don't aim for like a 4 or 5 year making money, getting out, buying a bigger house. Like, you need to get into it. Try to get something that has a cushion. So let's say the bank is offering you a $600,000 loan. Don't go for $600,000 loan. Go for a $500,000 loan. Get an investment and just try to like pay it off. And by the time 5 years later, 10 years later, you're gonna get back into those positives. So he's like, keep things simple, go for like stable, and just try to ride it out.
Well, that's obviously what happens during these times. Yeah, it's just everything is pennies on the pound. And if you have really massive companies that are pennies on the pound, why not put your pennies there?
Because you might still lose out. Because the problem with what the world that we're looking at is it's worse for the rest of the world, bro. So like the aggregate demand for the rest of the world is going to plunge, which means all of these big companies like Apple, companies like Costco, are not going to be making the same level of profits that they were a year ago or in the last 10 years, which means that their share prices are probably going to go down.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But they always go up.
But the problem is, what's the option? You don't get that, and you keep your money in cash.
That's my
That's
option.
gonna. It's like a mice is eating your cash with inflation. So there's nothing. So every time that $10 that you've got in your savings every year is gonna lose its value. So it's gonna become $9, $8. Having said that, if you invest into a company and let's say that Apple share doesn't go by a lot, it might be able to hold its value. So this is the point about the least worst option. Like, there's nothing amazing happening. So you've just got to choose a bet and stick to it and try to play safe. Don't try to gamble too much.
Yeah, definitely right about the rest. Man, I saw a documentary about merry old England, and they were just going through what is the supposed middle class of England.
Yeah.
Having said that, look, they got everything right in the 1800s, and then this is my Scottish coming out. Fucking Thatcher came along, and man, that is a desperate country right now. They were looking at middle class suburbs and walking around, and every shop was closed except for the St Vincent de Paul handing out free meals. And then you saw people that looked like they were comfortably dressed lining up for charity.
Really?
Yeah. That's what it's like now, and it's still getting worse. And they were asking people in this middle-class suburb, how's things going? And they were all saying, I turned off the power. They did the summer winter thing, which Tony Robbins was talking about, but this is how desperate it got. Yeah. I turned off the power during summer, didn't watch any TV there, so I'm sorted for winter, aren't I? so they have to not use any electricity during most of the year just to get through the harsh British winters.
Jesus.
It's
But isn't
dude,
this like
and
a
the power
cyclical-
bills are gonna go insane. Labor just came out and said we can't do anything about it. It's just, you're just gonna have to cop it.
So is this just a cycle that happens every decade, basically?
No, this is like once in 3 decade kind of thing. This is not good.
And what
This is 80s.
And what
In
really
fact,
triggered
the
it?
one thing that
What triggered it all again?
coronavirus, Ukraine war, and
I don't
just
really
the
think
general
the
cycle.
Ukraine war really triggered a lot of this.
It did. It shot up the energy prices.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, the war. That's what
Yeah, but not here. Like, it's just very, very fucked economic policy of the Liberals. That's what shopped up gas here.
It's just the supply has reduced, so it's going to go up.
Yeah, but we have so much supply here.
Yeah, but we don't have protectionist policies.
I know.
So we have to
That's
buy
what I'm saying.
everything.
But we used to.
That's crazy.
But Jordan, I'm the commie here, but I do want to say one thing, that if you move into like a really protectionist way of looking at your energy, you might end up something like Brazil. Brazil's been in a state of partial recession since 2014.
Why?
Because they were making a killing out of exporting commodities to China when China was growing in double digits, and then Chinese economy slowed down, and they just haven't been able to recover since then. The reason why I'm saying is because when you have protectionist policy, so you're giving yourself some of the stuff that you're selling to other people for a much reduced price, which means you're kind of cutting into your surplus income. So when that windfall goes down, the extreme example of that is Venezuela, where like as soon as the oil prices went down, their country collapsed. So you've got to like, I'm not saying that Australia is going to face that if they do it, but you still need to really tread this path carefully. You don't want to make certain things easier for us now, but much worse in the long run. You can have like a certain amount of cap, like maybe like the 10% or 15% that is reserved for domestic market. But the problem is, Jordan, I was actually looking into this. It's actually much more difficult than I thought. So the problem, Perth, the reason why Western Australia gets subsidized energy rates, particularly gas, is not just because their policies were great. Their policies were good, but they were able to achieve this because of the geographic distance. So most of the gas is being produced offshore from WA, right? So that energy is going to Asia. It's really close to Asia, and it's really far from us. Perth and like Western Australia is also close, somewhat closer. So energy companies over there agreed, okay, we have no problem giving Western Australia a subsidized rate. But when you ask the same for East Coast, the economics, at least they claim, don't add up. So what I'm saying is,
of course they claim that, but you could have done it. You could have given us the national energy guarantee, but now you can't. And this is the thing that I hate when you see all these people, and there's going to be people in the comments you watch of this podcast, and they'll all be saying, "Oh, well, why doesn't Labor do it now?" What, and sit in court with hundreds and hundreds of court cases until this blows over anyway,
but
then you can't?
But even if the court cases don't exist, the problem that Labor faces right now is, okay, let's say none of the court cases exist. Let's say they can set up a pipeline to East Coast today, and we've got the money for it. But the problem is you're subsidizing energy at a time when your inflation is 8% and growing.
So
every time you subsidize energy rates, you're increasing your inflation. Because energy prices go down, the demand goes up, people start buying more petrol, and that drives up the inflation. So now you're in a catch-22 situation here. So even if all of that subsidization will work, it's still bad economic policy at this point, which is why they're not doing it. Because they're afraid that if they do it, they're going to shoot the interest rates.
Well, yeah, look, it's all theoretical because they can't anyway. That's the point, though.
So there's no way to fix interest rates apart from...
reducing inflation rate.
Yeah. And how do you do that?
By increasing the interest rate.
Actually,
who designed this system?
By causing a recession.
Yeah, okay.
I'll tell you what the other big thing that they could do. I hear people in the Labor Party talking about this, is rumbles about it. Crash the dollar. Crash the dollar so that you're just creating this massive import.
The dollar will never crash. Here's the other thing that people don't realize about the dollar.
Well, you could.
But it's not even that. It's like, think of it this way. Every third world country in the world, their currencies are so unstable, particularly at times of global recession like we are at now, that all of their elites start taking money out of their own currency and starts parking it into what they would consider a stable currency. What a stable currency in this current economic order, where US is the only powerful giant, is US dollar. So even if US wants to bring down the US dollar, it cannot, because the demand overseas is too high. Every Paki friend of mine who makes money, all they're doing is trying to take money out of rupees and make it into USD, because they know that rupee is going to go down way more than USD does. So it's a whole different monster. You cannot crash the dollar, because the crashing the dollar would mean that every other third world country in the world that doesn't have faith in their own currency and economic system have to somehow abandon it. The only way that can happen is if all of a sudden things change. Let's say there's a US-China war and China wins that war, then the dollar will crash. But until that happens, until the current economic order exists, dollar will keep going up, and that is...
Hang on, doesn't China do that all the time?
What do you mean?
They just manipulate their own currency.
Yeah, they do, but that's also a reason why people wouldn't want to do it, because they manipulate it. But the problem is that Chinese currency, even today, is not nearly as stable. Because the reserve currency of the world is dollar, and that's what's causing it. the Chinese currency isn't the reserve currency of the world.
Yeah.
So if you're like if you're like a corrupt politician in Kenya and you're thinking, oh shit, I'm making all this money, but like the world is in a recession and Kenya is going down, probably because I'm making all of this money in a corrupt way, what do I do with that money? You're saying, oh, why don't you buy Chinese currency? You have two options. Buy Chinese currency, you can buy euro, or you can buy USD.
Yeah, but this is all.
He'd be insane to go for anything other than
investment,
USD.
though. We're talking about, because Australia is a high quality country with high quality exports. So if you make it cheap, you've just increased exports.
Well, yes. But the thing with Australia is, dude, like, we don't even need to compete on that. Our exports are inelastic as fuck. So
yeah, true.
Whatever we're selling, people are going to buy. What we should be afraid of is what the U.S. is saying is the best case scenario. The Chinese economy collapses. If the Chinese economy collapses, we are screwed. Because our number one buyer of our commodity is gone all of a sudden, which means that very inelastic demand that we had is not going to be so inelastic anymore. So all of a sudden, we're going to have all of these resources, and the biggest buyer is not going to get any. But so I say, contrary to what most Australians think, I believe as an Australian, we should really pray that China doesn't collapse.
Yeah, well,
Because
obviously, yeah.
Is this second biggest America?
Yeah.
Second biggest what?
We'll be right.
Well, EU.
That's pretty
No,
big
no,
place.
no. America isn't like our biggest commodity importer by any
No,
means.
I know that. He's just asking what's the biggest economy after.
Oh, no, America still is the biggest economy in the world.
I thought China had a bigger GDP.
No, buyer.
not
I'm
yet.
saying who buys the most of our shit.
China.
Secondarily.
And then
I
it's the
think
US
it's
and then it's
Indonesia.
Japan.
I think it's
No, I swear
Indonesia,
hang on.
Japan.
I'm going to Google this.
Well, I'm sure we'll be fine.
There's most of our stuff actually goes to Asian tiger economies.
What?
Like as in, your Koreas, your Japan, your Indonesia.
Right. God, it's this shit is complicated.
All right, look, let's maybe switch some gears because we've been talking about this for like 40 minutes.
Damn, that went fast.
It is intriguing.
Can I tell you the most amazing story that I was referring to in the pre-show that made me going from crying to laughing with joy?
Okay.
I'll try to make this. I'll try to make this real quick because we've got to address the Brazilian elections too. But Jordan, so do you know how in the Cricket World Cup, Pakistan lost its first match to India with like one run, and it was a crazy match.
Yep.
Their next match was with Zimbabwe. That's light, bro. Like they're not even a good team. They're like the team that you beat to because like it's a given. It's a given that you're gonna beat Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe out of nowhere fucking beats Pakistan, right? Kicks them out of the World Cup. I am crying. I am literally crying. I'm on the floor at 2 a.m. and I am crying in like the posture that Muslims pray because I cannot look at the screen anymore. And then all I hear,
Allah can save you now.
and all I hear is the commentary, the Zimbabwe commentator going, "In the greatest upset of all time, Zimbabwe has won by 1 run." And I am literally crying, right? And I'm thinking this is the worst day of my life. I put it down. I immediately go on YouTube. All of my recommendation was just filled with cricket bullshit that I was watching. I just go, not interested, to get rid of all of that. And then all of a sudden I see
podcast.
Zimbabwe people.
They were talking about it too.
Zimbabwe people, check this out. You're going to want to hear this. So people in Zimbabwe are going on Twitter and saying, "That's it, payback time. Pakistan, never do that shit again. This is our revenge." And I'm like, what the fuck did we do to you, bro? Like, what's this revenge for? And then the president of Zimbabwe tweets, "Congratulations to the Zimbabwe cricket team on this remarkable victory. And for Pakistan, next time send the real Mr. Bean." I was like, what the hell is going on here? What do you mean real Mr. Bean? So check this out. People in Zimbabwe were pissed off at Pakis. Why? Because some time ago, the Zimbabwe government organized an event. The agricultural department of Zimbabwe organized an event, and they got what they claimed was, "We're going to get Mr. Bean to our show." People in Zimbabwe went fucking nuts because that's their one celebrity.
Mr. Bean.
So they're
Who's
like,
Mr. Bean?
You know Mr.
let
Bean?
me.
Oh, Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah. Go.
So Mr. Bean comes to Zimbabwe and he's at this event and there's like a crowd.
Whoa.
Like, forget fucking Beatles in Liverpool on that fucking roof or whatever. The crowd is insane.
Bigger than Beatles.
But they quickly realize that this Mr. Bean is fake. And this Mr. Bean is Paki. He's from Karachi and he went there. And so all of a sudden the entire Zimbabwe as a society and the government gets freaked out because the people are going insane. They're like, this is the greatest. We're going to get rid of this government. And the government then says, this is not our fault. Paki sent us fake Mr. Bean when they promised us the real one. And the Pakis were like, we don't have the real Mr. Bean. The one that we had, we've sent it to you.
You know what's incredible? I never realized how much Mr. Bean does look like a Pakistani man.
Wait a sec.
Like, that's indistinguishable to me. I thought that was him.
There's so many questions.
Yeah.
There's too many questions. Why do they want Mr. Bean? It doesn't make sense.
Because they love him.
Okay, secondarily, why did Pakistan send a fake Mr. Bean? It was a coincidence that the guy was from Pakistan.
Well, look, so this is my understanding of
insanity.
it. Pakistan never claimed they have the real Mr. Bean. Everyone knows.
Why would they have the real Mr. Bean?
So some organization in Zimbabwe were like, what can you offer? And they're like, we have fake Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
And Zimbabwe were like, all right, that works for us. Send him through.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And then when he came to Zimbabwe and it became like national news that we've been conned, the government was like, or the agriculture department was like, oh shit, what do we do? Let's just say that Pakistan conned us.
Really?
That's just what you get for being dumb. Why is that
But have you
Pakistani
seen-
cricket team's fault?
Wait, are you sure that's what happened? Or are you just being very like nationalistic here? But like, it was not our fault. Because come on,
Well, maybe it was, but either way, I think it's still funny, Mr. Bean.
Dude, that's not funny. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
you've got to check this out. I will put up this clip on
All right,
the.
1 second. I'm just going to do a fish check.
Dude, that's the funniest.
Oh, yeah, your
that's the
fish is
funniest
about to
thing
die.
I've ever heard of.
It was so insane.
The world can be really funny sometimes, and I forget. You know, I forget how.
I've got to find that clip of him I
love
being,
Mr. Bean, but I didn't know Zimbabweans would love Mr. Bean. You know.
Dude, everyone in the third world. This is actually, I was talking to this to my girlfriend as well. There are certain shows that are massive in the third world, but in the developed economies, they're not a thing. Like, do you know that one of the biggest show in the world is called Mind Your Language? The ironic thing about that show is, even though it's a massive hit in every developing country, if someone watched it today, they'd be like, this show is very problematic. It's racist.
Well, everything's.
But because the entire show is about a white British teacher who's teaching a bunch of ethnics, like Greek, Italians, Paki, all the ones, and they just suck at English. And that's the entire show.
Oh, what's it called?
Mind Your Language.
I swear my mum watched a show like that. But
Yeah, because you know why? Because she's from Croatia.
Yeah,
they love it.
Yeah, she loves it. Actually, it is that show. It is. It's like in the 70s, and it's like super racy. She loves it. Yeah.
Yeah. Check this out.
Oh my god! You have to. How you gonna?
That was him before they found out that he was fake. We'll put this video up on the edit. I'll send it to.
Okay, well, I can see why that didn't work. That's really like Barney Gumble pretending to be Krusty the Clown. That is nothing.
But look at his
it.
mannerisms. They're not too bad.
They're pretty far off. He's not even acting. He's just being Pakistani. That's it.
I need to know.
What the heck? Come on. Dude, that looks more like Sam Destiari than Mr. Bean.
Who is at fault for this? I need to know.
The Zimbabwe government. And that guy as well. Like, that guy's really to blame.
That guy's to blame for going over there. But like, why did the president come out and be like, serves you right, Pakistan? It's like, you knew though.
Yeah, but I don't know. The president was tweeting. Anyways.
Dude, your reaction would have been amazing. That is...
I was like, it made the defeat worth it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was pissing with laughter when they were like, and dude, people in Zimbabwe were actually angry. They were like, do not mess with us next time.
Mess with us.
Dude,
you won by fluke, dude.
The third world is hilarious sometimes.
Well,
Sometimes.
Like, how would that happen
like that is what a national presidential parade. It's just not. Well, I mean, Shaq got pretty much the same treatment.
Yeah, but
he actually was Shaq.
He was Shaq. All the checks and balances needed to get someone over. It's like that would be like it's just crazy. Like there's so many checks and balances to get. It's like it's the real person, right? Yeah, of course, it's the real person. Gets there. It's not the real person. I don't understand how you can fuck that. Send a photo. I don't know. Like, okay, how about this? He arrives, right? Surely the Department of Agriculture, if it is Zimbabwe's fault, I'm still dubious. I reckon
Maybe it is Pakistan's fault, but I still think I'm so proud of it.
I reckon Pakistan saw like the money they were going to send. They're just like,
yeah, we've got.
Send Paki.
But can you ask Zimbabwe why they're asking Pakistan to send real Mr. Bean? Like,
we have to find that out.
That's strange as well.
yeah, because
And what is this?
Because they knew
what
he
favour
wasn't
can you do?
real.
I'm
telling you, they knew he wasn't real.
Listen, if this is what I'm saying. Okay, either he arrived and you see his face and go, get off the plane, back on the plane, get the fuck out of here. It'll be an eruption. Get out of here. Or they knew that he was fake, which is even more insane. Every answer's insane. There's no rational answer here. There's no rational.
Yeah, so they just thought, oh, okay, maybe they'll just think that he got like a suntan when he was here and there.
If that was the logic, it's like that's insane too. Like there's no. Oh my god! I need to know. I'm gonna
Chucking him in a stadium.
I'm gonna Google like how did this happen, and I bet there'll be like 50 articles being like could have been this, could have been this, could have been this, but everyone will be like insane. Like it's amazing.
That is
You
incredible.
get free entertainment.
You know what else is incredible? I finally figured out where my rainbow fish went.
Oh no!
That's
eyes have
the
melted
eyes.
out.
No, but this was obviously this was months and months and months ago. I just looked in the back to do a check, and I was always just like, "What were they eating or something?" No, they went for their little jump of freedom, like they sometimes do.
Oh my god! No. Both of them got mummified.
You know what's
This
crazy?
is
But they're-
sadder than that.
Why
eel
did
pie.
they-
I'm
Eyeballs
60% sure Miss Love's gonna eat them.
Oh
Well,
my!
they
It's
do
like,
look good. They do look good.
Go on, do one.
No,
for
I
the
can't.
pod.
A little bit of salt.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
You do it all the time anyway.
I
Like,
know, but no, I can't. I'll lick
Miss,
one.
do it. Come on.
No, I
for the
can't.
pod.
I'll lick one.
A little
I'll
bit
lick
of salt.
I'll lick one. Oh!
Can anyone? I just want everyone to know this. I'm a very good aquarium keeper. Okay, it's just that
yeah,
it's
I'm
an
sure.
open end, and sometimes when you do a water change, they just go, "Oh, the pH level is 0.1% different. Better kill myself." Burp. So that's what happens. Just in case you didn't see the pre-show, and now because you stayed around, Misov's going to eat one.
I'm not going to eat one, but I'll lick one.
All right.
It is...
The bigger one.
He's a murderer. Peter, get at him. Oh, I really don't want to do this.
Yep.
No! It's just paper.
Why are you spitting it out then?
It's just paper.
No, all right, I'm going to give it.
Just
a go.
lick it. It's paper.
Yeah, that has no flavor at all.
It's something.
Go on.
No.
Well, you gotta add a little bit of salt on it, Miss.
Yeah, if it was salted, I could probably do.
Oh, we'll put some salt on it. Eat
I
it.
mean like, preserved in salt.
It was preserved. This place is very humid.
Why
They're
are
incredible. They're little mummies.
Why are the eyeballs melted out?
Not melted out, they just dry out because think about it, your eyes just, what is
Water.
it? It's just like a little water bean bag.
But where did they go?
They just go off into the ether. They just apparate into the ceiling.
It's basically just water. There's nothing physical in the eye.
I don't know anything about eyes. It's just I'm looking at them right now and I'm just thinking
Water.
like
They're water.
it's got to be, right? Like
So
Miss, everyone is desperately asking for you to eat it with salt. Just
I
add some
can't,
salt
please.
on
I
it.
can't do it.
Why?
It's just too
They're all like,
fucked.
lick
Why
it,
is
you
it fucked?
pussies.
We licked it.
Eat it, you fucking
no, I
pussy.
can't,
Put in
I
the
can't.
salt and eat it.
I can't. It's not. I have to stress. Preserved in salt.
all right, what about scissors, paper, rock?
No, I can't. I can't do it. I can't. I just don't.
Miss, don't pretend. This is your favorite food.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I don't think you realize this is not the process of just preserving meat. You don't just chuck it on a rock and it dries out. That's not how you do
Yeah,
it.
it is.
No.
I've seen that happen. Well,
No.
you know,
Dude,
if
old
it's good
school
enough for
Croats?
Zimbabwe and fake Mr. Bean wasn't,
I can't.
then clearly
I can't do it.
That's what they do.
Miss,
There's nothing. This is probably the healthiest meal. Don't lie to me, miss. Yesterday you were pumping your body with seltzers. This is going to be healthier than that.
Okay, try the little one. Add some salt on it and eat it.
Listen,
just a little
I can't do it. But you know what you can do?
What?
Do us a favor
Yeah.
and break Big Boy in half.
And then you'll eat half.
No, I just want to see.
They're saying power chew and spit if it's bad, but you have to eat it.
I can't.
Just put it in your mouth.
Jordan, get some salt for me.
All right, well, we'll see what he will change his mind instantly once there's some flavoring.
Yeah, and you're like,
here's how you do it, guys.
Good
This is how
on
you
me,
get
I
Miss
don't
Love
want
Bella
mate.
Bradgick to eat anything. You just get your shoe and you put some Tabasco sauce on it. He'll eat it.
Chubasco.
Why, fishies? Why did you have to do this?
But miss, come on. If anyone is gonna eat that fish, it's you.
No, I think it's you. You're from Pakistan.
No, but like you're from Croatia, dude.
Yeah,
You eat
exactly.
these
But
fish.
people in Pakistan don't eat fish.
Yeah, we don't eat
Jesus.
fish at all.
Look at that. Now, doesn't that remind you of home?
Snap it in half. Let's see what's inside at least.
There's nothing
Get
inside.
on,
It's
get
a
on,
mummy.
Get on, get on.
Well, you're not going to see anything. Look at that. Nice and meaty.
Let's...
See?
Jesus, it's hollow.
Yeah. You're just eating nothing but skin. You're just eating fish jerky.
It's just, let me just...
But add like a little bit more salt on it. Can we? Give me the salt shaker.
Well, you'll just rub it on this table
Jordan,
for good
give me
luck.
the salt shaker. Miss,
Go on, have a whiff of that,
it's
miss.
gonna be really.
It doesn't smell like anything. You tasted it already. You're all right. I'll admit it doesn't smell as appetizing as it looks.
I feel.
All
I
right,
still,
damn the gullet.
It's still food safe, I think.
I think it's still food safe. It's just, well, that's what fish smells like. You like going to the fish market. Now all of a sudden you're too good for it.
Miss, I reckon you can do it.
It really stinks.
Yeah, but like it's just fermented. That's what the smell is. You know how kimchi sometimes tastes bad?
Yeah,
It's, like, delicious.
That's it. It's the same thing.
Give it like a little bite, miss. Just a little one.
It's so stinky.
Just a little one.
Ugh.
Just a little one. Just to nibble the edge.
He's gonna do it.
It's just, it's rock hard.
Just use your
You
teeth.
can rip it out. You got nice healthy chompers. Go for the tail. That's the lucky part anyway.
Nah, the head is the most flavorful.
Well, that's definitely true, but it'd be easy to take that off.
Ugh. I can't.
You got it. Just chip it away.
Look,
All right, here we go. Here
it's
we go.
fucking
I'll
cardboard.
give you some. There you
Just
go.
break him a little piece.
It's
See?
cardboard.
Yeah.
That's just the tail. Good on you. Do it. You can do it. Miss, look.
shit,
Miss,
it's
look.
All his hair on it.
5-second rule.
Hey, he's pretty happy about it. Look. Got a nice smile on his face. That's all right. That's a gag reflex. That's natural.
Enjoying it.
You want some more salt?
You like
on it?
that? You want to wash that down with another Jap beer? Apparently, this is classy all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Them in the side.
Japanese beer with some sashimi.
He tried. He oh, Lord, how he did
We
try.
gotta give him a clap for it.
Hey, thanks for taking one for the team, Miz.
I mean, it just really smells.
It's
I hope I
horrible.
don't get sick.
It
Will I
is
get sick?
so rotten that
Oh, it's rotten. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
it's definitely rotten.
That's been there for a while. I don't know if it can be rotten, though.
Dude, it is rotten. Smell it. It's so rotten.
What about if we got Tutankhamun? Would you eat that?
I'm rethinking.
What about, like,
jerky? Anything?
You could
now.
dip it in some chili sauce and eat it.
And then he'd like it.
Oh God.
No, now I'm touching the tail that Missile had in his mouth.
Oh, that's the healthiest fucking part of that.
Probably. Your enzymes probably killed off a lot of the bacteria.
Am I gonna die?
No.
Nah, you'll be
well,
all
maybe.
right.
I don't know.
That fish was dead.
That's what we were trying to figure out.
Think-
If it's edible or not.
Well, it's. Did you smell it?
Yes, I did.
and I did too. It is not good.
Miss
let's
Bella
move
Bradgick, political chief scientist of the Friendlyjordies Podcast and guinea pig.
I'm gonna have to eat a fucking warhead.
So, not a fan?
You know, it'll work in a deli, but I'm just gonna do it.
You always wanted to go to the Russian deli in Bondi. You're not so crash hot on it now, are you? I mean, that stuff would be a lot older than this.
Oh, God,
Especially with all of the trade embargoes now.
All right, Jordan.
Not even the bloody warheads.
Let's do the next segment. Brazilian elections. Are you happy or not?
Well, I'm mortified, actually.
Why are you mortified? You know this is one.
Because Bolsonaro's a strong man.
Yeah, but he was also, I think,
fucked man.
I think like Lula might save the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that.
You know, apparently the
There was a
Amazon
ray of hope.
soaks up like a quarter of the entire world's carbon dioxide.
No.
Yeah. They're known as the lungs of the world.
Well, I know that, but I didn't know it was that high.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And-
well, you know what's really sad about it?
What?
This is what they were saying. Bolsonaro cleared so much of it that now there's just permanent swaths of it that are just savanna. Can't
Yeah,
be repaired back into
He's
forest.
already done some
But
damage.
this is the whole thing. When they're saying that under Lula, deforestation halved. Oh, okay, so it's just going to take us twice as long to destroy the forest.
No, but come on, dude. They're going to protect it some. Like, you can do it they're going to do it. They've got to do it in somewhat a sustainable way. Otherwise, we're all screwed.
Well, this is
The
what
one
also
good
freaks
thing
me out.
about
Because
it is-
what? Okay, he wins this election. Then Bolsonaro Jr. wins the next one.
Yeah, but this is what I was reading. So apparently, unlike Lula 1.0 when he came into power before, this time around, because the country is so divided and his win margin is so minuscule.
Was it?
Yeah. So minuscule, dude. It was so.
What was it?
close.
Do you know?
Yeah, 50.8.
Nearly 50% of the country voted for Bolsonaro.
Yep. Which is why they're saying that any policy platform that Lula had about like funding education, health, or better social security is out of the window because there's no way he's going to be able to legislate it. By the way, he's the president.
Can he do
but
presidential
the
orders or
parliament
nah?
is majority right wing.
It was always is. But is he able to do anything like, executive orders?
For for Amazon, he can, which is the good bit.
Wow.
So anything in relating to conservation of the Amazon, he can do what is their version of an executive order, but he can't do domestic legislation.
Well, how the hell did Bolsonaro get such a high vote?
Dude, they love him there. What are you talking about?
I thought that a small section of the community liked him, and I thought that
No.
Lula was like crazily popular.
It's
That's
pretty
really
divided.
concerning for the future of the world.
Their religious vote has sort of broken up. So it used to be Catholics, right, that formed the religious voting lobby. The Catholics are actually pro-Lula. In fact, the Pope sort of endorsed Lula, which is mad.
Whoa.
But yeah, true. But
You
the
wouldn't be
problem
getting
is
that out of Benedict XVI, I could assure you.
Brazil is changing. So they're
Evangelicals.
yes.
Yeah.
And they're all
It's
with
just
Bolsonaro.
of America, Brazil, really. The
And they're
divide.
all with Bolsonaro.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is the problem with poor people. They don't vote. Because
No,
I'm
but they do.
assuming that it was you don't have to vote in Brazil, right?
I think so. But like either way, they're
who's in?
it's like America.
Is the right-wing dude out?
The right wing dude's out, and the
Lula.
left wing,
Really?
which some might consider far left, is now in.
How is he far left?
Just because he's not, because he's a union guy. That's why.
That's it.
He's
yeah.
not a corporate who wants to like fund health a little bit more. He's literally a union guy. It's like John Setka becoming the president.
Okay, yeah, well, that's pretty militant.
Will he save the Amazon?
Yes, that's in fact his biggest policy platform, and he's already said that he's on it.
Yeah, but how is he going to save it?
Make it a protected zone.
And once you
Huge
make it a
swaths of
protected zone, can Bolsonaro do anything about it if he gets back in?
Maybe if it's like, dude, I
Or
don't
is
know
it
their
just
legal system
protected?
that well, but like in America, technically he could have. If their executive orders are anything like America, then maybe he would have. But there's like big,
Because the thing is, in Australia, once it's national park, it's national park.
yeah.
Really?
Maybe in Brazil it could be that way. I'm not sure, but I'll look
Maybe
it up.
not.
But either
Yeah.
way,
Man, you know what Labor's doing? This is incredible. With Tanya Plibersek's announcement of 30% protection, people always say, oh, she only has to get another 6 or 7% for it to be 30%. It's not that much. You know what 6 or 7% is? It's the size of Victoria and Tasmania. Of not just, because a lot of the stuff that is national park is just barren wasteland. She's talking about prime land that she's going to have to buy off of farmers. It is huge. That last little jolt into whatever the next part of the protection zone is. I hate how people are always just trying to find some negative spin on everything.
Stop
Like,
playing with the corpses. They're your friends.
But they're fun. Just like the word life.
Yeah, that is epic. That's really good news. And that's good news for Brazil, I guess, too.
That's good news for the world, bro.
More
In
forest,
fact,
more trained.
This was such a big problem that there were talks in the United Nations that what if they bribe Bolsonaro? Because Amazon, even though it's in Brazil, it's kind of like it has to be world property because it's so vital for everyone on the planet. So they were saying like we can literally bribe Bolsonaro where we keep aside a certain fund and we give it to Brazil in just to be like, can you protect Amazon? And here's extra money. Like it was that much of an issue. In fact, I would argue that we should still do it to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Ted Turner's onto it.
What's that?
That's the way that you should do it.
What?
Just these charitable billionaires that just bought. He did that during Bolsonaro's reign. He bought huge tracts of the Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it's done.
That's fucking cool.
But we can't depend on billionaires to solve this issue, dude.
Why?
Yeah,
Because, okay, some buy Amazon, but others buy flaming
Amazon,
guns and Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why the fuck hasn't Elon bought some of the Amazon?
Dude, he's too focused on Dogecoin.
Yeah, Mars. This planet's done for. He's going for the next one.
Yeah.
Speak into the microphone,
Sorry.
miss. It's been
Bish.
7 years.
This is what happens when you don't give me these. Well, that's good news.
It's definitely good news.
I didn't see
Yeah, that is really good news. I'm
And
just
Lula is
kinda
a sick guy. Like,
yeah,
Lula
but I'm
is
scared
a
about, and also, how old is that man?
77 years old.
Yeah, and nobody else is popular apart from Lula. Like it was just a real personality cult that got
They
through.
did what Malaysia also did, which is the only
back the
popular
classics.
person. And he, like Mahathir in Malaysia, Lula, when he initially came into power, he gave Brazil one of the biggest booms of their history. In fact, that's what I was talking about during the housing issue, where the Chinese commodity prices, the Chinese demand reduced, and it sort of plunged Brazil into recession. Just before that was Lula era, where China was literally buying anything that they were producing at extreme inflated rates. So they just had this massive period of boom, and then and by the time Lula had retired and gave it to his successor, can't remember her name. This was around 2015, 2016. She came into power. Chinese economy slowed down, and then immediately it gave the right-wing ammunition to be like, these guys are corrupt. They're doing all of this shit. And the corporate establishment in Brazil was like, yeah, fair. I mean, we were enjoying it while there was a boom, and now that there's a recession, we don't mind getting rid of them. And so they got rid of...
So corporate Brazil was pretty cool with Lula.
Yeah, because Lula was they weren't cool with him, but they were tolerating him because, yes, Lula was taking a lot of their money through taxation and giving it to poor people, but he was generally increasing the size of the pie because the economy was booming to that extent. As soon as that ended, and Lula by that time had stepped down and he gave it to his successor, the successor was like an easy target. They got rid of her. She had to resign eventually.
But she was actually popular with the population, right?
Initially, but later on she wasn't. They all thought that Lula was great. The successor, she's just a corrupt guy.
Is the successor like some bigwig in the UN now?
No. Oh, I don't know. I haven't followed. She like resigned in 2016, 2017 or something. So ages ago.
Right.
And then some other guy came and eventually he was
No one cared
defeated
about
by
him.
Bolsonaro.
Hey, did he win his election? Do you know? Wasn't he running
No,
for like
no.
attorney general or something?
Who?
The guy that was like no frills Bolsonaro that lost.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know.
No,
if
not
he won.
Bolsonaro. No frills Lula.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know if he won or not.
So it was a close race.
Super close.
Super
Super
close.
close. Like
Not even 1%.
wafer thin margin.
Fuck.
And so they brought Lula back, even though Lula was in prison for corruption charges because the right wing knew that he's the only viable candidate. So they put him in jail to the point where, like, when Bolsonaro came in and a lot of even the Brazil's corporate establishment were like, yeah, maybe this is not such a great idea because he was essentially Trump. So they forgave Lula for his corruption charges, which have never been proven. They absolved him of all the charges and brought him back to fight for the elections, and he won by a wafer-thin margin because if it was anyone else, they would have probably lost. And now he's going to be like a Biden president, which is that, yes, he came in because he was the only acceptable candidate, but he's super old and he runs a very divided country where he can't pass through any of his domestic legislation.
Really?
The only advantage, like I said, of this election was that the Amazon gets a 5-year lease.
That's Jesus
lease.
Christ.
So
Yeah.
it's just a lease.
Well, I don't know. This is the whole thing. We're going to have to figure out how you can protect the Amazon if it's possible. Because I really do think that Brazil is just one of those countries where if Bolsonaro's like, you can put in the bulldozers, man, I'm not going to do anything, then that's fine. You can. It just seems like you could just break whatever laws you want there. I mean, look, any government's like that, really. All of these laws and regulations mean absolutely nothing.
Dude, he's the first president, very much like Trump in Brazilian history, who hasn't conceded.
He didn't
Really?
concede it.
But he's not getting the whole storm the Capitol.
They're saying that it might get there. He's like, if
God.
he brings up an issue because he still hasn't conceded, and he's been constantly, for the last month, he's been saying that there's voter fraud, basically following the Trump playbook. So they're saying that even if he concedes, there's going to be protests. But if he says this election was rigged, you're going to have America like Capitol Hill riots.
Didn't Trump create a shit ton of public parks? Wasn't he pretty good with the environment?
Maybe he did create some national parks, I'm not sure. But no, not all
really.
environmental regulations torn to shreds. It always is under the Republicans. It's the same playbook every time.
Someone just messaged truck drivers are blocking highways in Brazil to protest the election results. So it's already begun, and they were predicting this.
So Trump,
Dude, truck drivers everywhere are fucking morons, aren't they? I'm sorry, but because same thing happened in Canada. Like truck drivers are the first ones to be like,
Every time.
what?
Nah, but the ones in Canada, that was against COVID. That wasn't against elections.
Yeah, but whatever it might
It's
be,
this
but
weird political movement with why truck drivers? Why are they always on the forefront? This is a Mad Max.
And you know what? They're going to be some of the first people to lose their jobs.
Why
soon.
are they losing their jobs? I don't know why, because they always did that. Like every time you ever saw any interviewer, it was always just them being like, "Man, I'm a little scared if Lula gets in." But it's like, aren't you guys part of a union? What?
Yeah,
It's crazy. I know.
It's really silly.
So Trump wasn't good with the environment at all.
No, Christ, no. No Republican is. No quote-unquote conservative government can serve shit.
It's so bizarre.
No, it's not. It's really not bizarre at all.
But they talk the talk, don't they?
No.
But do they walk?
Yeah, Trump was like, I've made the most public parks in any president.
Yeah,
Said that shit.
he's lying.
Yes.
He's saying that.
Yes.
Maybe he did. I don't know.
I have to
Google check it out. Yeah, just check out because if he
someone
made a
tell us
lot of
about
national
that? I'm
parks.
curious.
Honestly, I think that national parks is a lot more important than energy policy. Energy policy, the private sector will handle, but
Someone
conserving
tell us.
land, that's where the big games are.
Okay, revealed. The Guardian, I don't know. The full extent of Trump's meat cleaver assault on U.S. wilderness. The undoing of our public parks and national parks. The Trump presidency is the worst ever for public lands. The most anti-nature president in U.S. history. I gotta start reading my. I started
More
getting
widely.
Yeah, I gotta start
you're
getting my
just
sources.
getting opposite of everything.
I think I do get like the fuck.
Oh,
hey,
all right.
hey. What does that say though, huh?
Donald J. Trump State Park, Indian Hill section.
Dude, speaking of Trump
now-
and
now we don't-
Well,
Bolsonaro,
that sign says it all.
Well, there's another one too.
what do you think about this new debate that's gone
section.
up about, speaking of just on this topic, this debate that's gone up with, what's his name, Nancy Pelosi's husband getting bashed the other day?
What's the debate about?
The
it?
debate
Did he have it
is
coming or
that
not?
even in America, they're now saying if free speech leads to people going and bashing 88-year-olds in the head with a hammer,
Jesus.
do we need...
hammer.
Yeah, that's how he broke his skull.
Who?
First of all, my question is,
Hey, let's not.
Nancy,
Let's
you're
not,
one of the most hated people in the world. Get some security already. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, and also, how did anyone know what your husband looks like?
Well, I know her husband because her husband is like Dave Sharma of the U.S. That man's a stock genius.
Yeah, but I can't imagine the truck drivers of the US knowing that man.
No, but they all hate him, dude. Like the QAnon and the conspiracy theories just think like, we think that Nancy Pelosi is a bad person because she's guilty of insider trading. They believe that she runs a pedophile ring. So there's like, and so
Insider trading's worse.
But let's not discredit the violence on the left.
Yeah, but like this guy just broke an 88-year-old man's
Did
head.
that really happen? I didn't know about that. So
he tied him up and he broke his head with a hammer.
Tied him up.
Yeah.
Really?
And he kept screaming, "Where's Nancy?" Because he wanted to get Nancy.
Holy shit! That's
So now in America, they're saying like, where is the limit of free speech? And this is a difficult
Has
question.
free speech gone too far?
Yeah. Because, dude,
They do need a little more
I'm
political
not a
correctness, I
fan
don't know.
of Nancy by any means, but this is a bit much.
All right, yeah, well, Ali's called it.
I'm
not a fan of
yeah,
attempted murder.
QAnon, I'm not on this train anymore.
You had some points and you had your fun.
If you had just gone there and egged their house, I would have still been okay with it. But like,
Yeah,
breaking
obviously.
a
Yeah, there's
skull
nothing
is
wrong
a
with
bit
egging.
much.
Dude,
So like,
San Fran's rough. I remember when I was staying in San Francisco and I was like, wow, beautiful. It's like basically it's like Sydney. It's like Harbour Town. Like it's basically Paddington. It's like really, really, really beautiful. And I was staying in this area called North Beach, which is like super cool and hip and everything. And the house across the servo across the road from our house, like we were going in, and then there was like police tape around the servo. And I was like, what the fuck? And I asked some guy on the street, I'm like, oh, like we're just staying here. Like what happened? And it was like, oh yeah, it was just a shooting last night, man. I was like, what? And the guy was like, yeah. A guy came in and robbed the place and killed someone. I'm like, okay, first day in America, might not go to that servo at night. It's supposed to be a very like affluent area.
yeah, San Francisco.
It's rough. It's rough.
Dude, apparently a lot of these cities, I was watching a documentary the other day. Apparently Vancouver is a shithole now.
Right.
Vancouver.
Because of
British Columbia.
same thing as LA. The entire homeless population is going to Vancouver, and the government isn't doing much about it. I don't know.
Actually,
it might be like a right wing tint on it, but it seemed like the same problem that Joe Rogan has with California. It's like,
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, exactly. They're talking about that as like this massive right-wing talking point. But yeah, I'm sure homeless has exploded and whatever. But Tu just came back from there and she was just like, if you're a baller in these cities, it doesn't matter. You don't see homeless people.
Did she go to downtown?
No, that's the thing. She just stayed in all of the affluent parts of LA and it's just a normal
It's a huge
functioning
divide.
city.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
just-
But if you go to downtown, that's not the case.
But I thought that it was kind of like going to New Delhi or something, where it doesn't matter if you're just outside of the Taj Mahal. There's going to be 700,000 beggars being like, "Where did they?"
Oh no, it's not like that. It's just in certain areas, but those areas are fucked.
But weren't they always fucked?
Yeah.
I remember being there in the 90s and they were, like
they
I
actually
was
were
walking
more
around there
fucked
and
then.
Yeah.
At least now it's just homeless people that are annoying. At the time, weren't there like shootouts and drive-bys all the time?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think. Yeah, you're right. I think it's.
And now those are the affluent areas because of those drive-bys. Circle of life.
Dude, even today, like we sometimes forget like how chill we have it in Australia. Like today in New York,
very
what's
chill.
that ghetto that like's the worst spot? Is
New
it
York.
Bronx?
The Bronx is used to be bad.
But like there's certain areas, or maybe like I don't know.
Harlem.
Well,
Yeah, all
no,
that-
it's like one of the ghettos, and like there's certain streets where the housing commissions are, where like
There's lots
they're
of
saying
projects.
if you go there, you will get robbed.
there's a lot of parts
There's
like
no
that,
spot in Australia where you have a guarantee of getting robbed.
there's
You
no
know,
guarantee.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Then again, Miss Love could walk into that ghetto, and then those guys would be like, "Yeah, man, I can see you down hard on your times, man. Like I look after my community, but I only okay."
Have a cheese sandwich, man. All right, sweet. There's no problems here. Everyone's really nice.
GGW is like Mount Druitt, dude. I've spent a lot of time in Mount Druitt. I used to work in Mount Druitt. Mount Druitt is indeed a sketchy place after dark.
After dark.
But bro, it
That's
is
the thing.
not anywhere close to some of these spots in the US. Like you have no idea that how bad it can get.
Yeah, I really feel like if you're in Mount Druitt and you just keep to yourself and don't like Ali's friend tell Maoris to shut the fuck up because their music is too loud. If you
don't
just
do that.
refrain from that, I think you're going to be all right.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. You might just get a couple of revving cars going, yeah, next to you and whatever, you know.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It is a hellscape.
And Mount Druitt has some of the nicest people in Australia too.
Yeah, that's definitely
This
true. Well,
is
it's always the
also-
same. Isn't
that
it?
is a-
Bogans are great. That's exactly what happened when we went and filmed the new Fat Pizza show.
Yeah, we did it again.
But that was dude in Petersham. What
No,
are you
we
talking
went
about?
No. They
you did
needed
it
us for
again.
another shoot in Toon Gabby Old.
Old Toon Gabby. But
Old
Old Toon
Toon
Gabby
Gabby.
now is Old Toongabbie's actually like
Just like normal Toongabbie.
It used to be bloody rough, not these days, mate. I tell you, a house should go for a lot there now. I mean, it's not that rough there. That's not Mount Druitt.
Well, from our experience of just being in a film studio.
No,
really.
from my many times eating Croatian lunch there.
I really, you really live like one of those old people's lives, you know, where it's just like, yeah, can carry. Yeah, fix the road up there. What? When? Don't worry about it. We should move on to the next topic. It's a chapter of my life I don't want to relive.
Yeah. They underpaid me.
All right,
It's so weird.
boys, last
What is this
segment.
having life experiences nonsense?
Yeah, I know. Well,
Last segment of the pod.
guilty as charged.
Melbourne Cup track has been sabotaged by 1,000 liters of oily sludge.
What's oily sludge?
For those of you that are not from Melbourne and don't know exactly what's happening with the Melbourne Cup controversy, is that this time it's not about the horses. So Melbourne Cup, the field that they use or whatever, the race course, they've erected a giant wall all around it to keep the flood water from coming in, so that they don't lose money on the horse races or whatever. But one of the
policy.
inadvertent consequences of that is that field, that race course, was a natural floodplain for when it rained like crazy, which it has been. So it would take all the water from the houses towards that field. But with this wall, all the houses around the race course are flooded, and people have lost everything. And so now this whole thing is like, who the fuck gave the race course the right to erect this wall and ruin the topography of this entire area? Some guy, in protest of this, put like 1,000 liters of oily sludge, which seems a lot, but according to the race course guy, apparently they fixed it in like an hour or so. So maybe it wasn't that big of a deal. But either way,
How did he get it there with wheelbarrows? What? Like a truck just backed it up?
maybe a truck, yeah. But what do you think about this? Fair or not fair?
What?
Look, I'm not really a fan of the whole destroying things. I mean, I'm not like you are, Lee. I'm up for like a certain amount of civil protest. Like, I'm very fine with 80-year-olds getting bashed in the heads with hammers.
Jesus.
But sludge is a bit much. Think about the workers that have to clean that up.
I mean, I understand the frustration. They shouldn't have done that. I'm not like, I'm not a fan of like the races, but I'm not necessarily like you should just ban the races. They should like sort of like fix the problems maybe and like.
Well, can you fix your problems to be closer to the
Sorry. Fix the problems and shit. But that dude was probably pissed off because like his house is flooded, right?
Yeah, dude, apparently this man had issues. I was reading this and
Yes, issues with the racetrack.
I think gambling should be legal, but it's like we have in terms of, aren't we the worst problem gamblers in the world?
Yeah, but Victoria's a little bit better than New South Wales, so
Right.
they've got room to slide.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so this guy
really,
who did
he's got
it,
no problem at all.
so one of the red flags of this man
Yes.
is that he is a massive gambling addict, and he's lost a lot of money on these horses, and so he has
there we go. There's always a hidden
a
agenda.
vendetta against.
Hidden agenda.
But either way, it doesn't take away from the issue, dude. If I was living in that area and they were doing, I would be pissed as well.
Yeah, no, I think
Like, who gave you the right? If this place is gonna get flooded, then we all get flooded. You don't get to like keep your fancy ass race course and divert all that water onto us.
Yeah, that's
That
a
is
fair
fucked.
point.
That is fucked.
Not okay.
Yeah, but also, it's the Melbourne Cup, and there's a lot of hags that like dressing up with those stupid little
Yeah,
hats.
fuck them, dude. Fuck them. Who cares? I don't care.
Well, I'm just saying, Ali, there's losers on every field. So
Oh,
in these trying times of climate change.
what a difficult transition that would be from horse racing to greyhound racing.
Well,
will be
one's
for them,
faster,
don't you worry.
one's
They're
faster.
dude, those women are not going to like that because they don't like being mean to dogs. Horses, on the other hand.
So what do
they
you
weren't
guys
rich-
think of like the whole horse race? Because I'm a little bit. I
I don't know why
care
it's cruel
enough about
because
it.
I just don't even know when the Melbourne Cup's on because I
it's-
don't live there.
It is cruel in that, I think, I don't know. I mean, some would say the racing is cruel, but then also a lot of the
What is
horses
it
are
cruel because
killed.
they just get whipped on the ass?
No, they get shot in the head sometimes.
What?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
break an
that's pretty-
ankle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
like,
they
don't we
go-
do that with like 1 million cows a day?
Well, that is a fair,
Counterpoint.
comparison. You could argue that, but then the argument is like, oh yeah, so
Are
like,
they
that's
treated
okay.
badly? Is one of the big
Well, I don't-
concerns that I would have.
See, this is the weird thing. I don't know if they would be.
Well,
if they're treated
under
badly,
duress.
then
They're
it's
under-
wrong. But if they're just getting shot in the head after they've like gotten old and they've had a wonderful life, that's fine.
No, dude. They'll be running, and then they're pushing them really fucking hard and pushing them and pushing them.
Yeah, but that's like athletes, dude. If
Yeah,
you
yeah,
tell
but
if you tell an athlete, oh,
Yeah, but an
you're
athlete-
having
wait,
your
yeah, but-
body's having a toll on you, would you want to quit your sport? They'd tell you to fuck off.
No, but
That's true, but also Usain Bolt doesn't have a midget on him whipping him.
And Usain Bolt doesn't get shot in
He
the
should.
head.
I'm not saying
He
this
did.
is not a
He
perfect
does.
world.
It's his mum. She's very strict
And
about it.
I don't know if she's a midget. She's probably taller than he is.
Usain Bolt doesn't when he pulls a ham, he doesn't get shot in the head. So like,
Yeah, but like,
dude,
if
it's not-
fair's
it-
fair, you know. Just
athletes-
if he's not pulling his weight,
Nah, but like,
No, I'm
but
saying-
it does happen to athletes. They don't get shot in the head, but they may as well get shot in the head. If you have a massive injury while you're at the peak of your career, you are gone, bro.
I'm just
like
saying-
they'll give you a year to recover. If you don't do it, you're gonna go into debt.
yeah, but
It's
I
not gonna be
understand that.
fun.
But what I'm saying is like the argument is like some horses will fall down and they get put down and it's cruel. It's there's definitely a level of like cruelty to it, but you know, I'm not. I don't know. They should maybe like you know, not regulate it, but just sort of like.
no, I think it's just look, one rule for all. If you're going to do that, do it to the pole vaulters. That's what I think.
Just the pole vault through the chest.
Yeah, well, go out the way that you're supposed to. Just
Yeah.
learn a thing or two from the samurais and go out with some honor.
But
Jesus.
it does
Take it up time and resources.
It does get to that thing where it's like, I don't know. I think people see horses as pretty like quite majestic animals, but you know,
Do you think that the only reason people think they're majestic is because
All right, what do you
they
think
thought
about Nose
unicorns?
Nose Blump has said the difference between farming animals for food and breeding animals for sport is the fact that it's purely for entertainment. It's the same reason why animals in the circus should be banned.
Which was a bloody outrage when Circus Oz stopped touring around Billingen because that was the only entertainment we had.
yeah.
Look, they gave us this cheap Easter show at the end, and look, you can only get so many 6 months old Birdie Bots show bags before you want to see a bear on a unicycle. All right, like you got to give us something.
He's got a point, but
He does have.
you
Hey,
know,
that's a
like-
philosophical question, actually. I don't know what to think about that.
if you're right,
What? So you can't use animals for entertainment, is his point of view, right? What's the one example that I want to think of that? What about like you taking
What
your
about
dog to
chimpanzees
those
and
dog
octopus
shows?
Huh?
What?
Hey,
Taking dogs to dog shows?
yeah. I mean,
That's purely entertainment.
That might be cruel because they're not shearing those old Shetland sheepdogs, and it's a bloody hot country.
yeah, and like you know, maybe if a dog injures their leg in one of those like Easter show things that are just like. It was fun, lassie. You know, maybe I don't know. I mean,
Well, let's be fair. They'll probably use those wood choppers to just smack him in the head. Well, they're close by.
Final destination.
it is like a broader. You know, I don't know, if you don't eat meat and then I think that like you are practicing what you preach. I understand that one. But you're still
What about,
killing
like-
it. But is it more moral to kill an animal to fucking eat it?
Okay,
'Cause
okay,
that's more
I've got-
moral.
I've got
to
another
eat it, to
question.
eat its flesh. I'm like, yum, yum. That's more
Well,
moral.
it's
I don't
for
know.
your nourishment. You're doing it to survive technically. But
Barely.
my
It's not
question
Most
really.
is,
people just eat way too much.
Not
and they're just
today.
fatties.
Not
If-
today.
if
The
we're
industry,
saying-
the meat industry is fucked.
if we're saying that using animals for entertainment as a rule is wrong, then what about just riding horses? Is that wrong?
Well,
You've got a car, bro. Don't pretend you need
Yeah.
this.
Well, that's
Yeah.
another thing. Like horse, but it is different. I mean, look, you're right. Horses would be put. You know, you can be riding in a stable and the horse breaks
All I've
its
got is
leg.
my mum who just grew up on a farm and had horses, and she was always saying they like it, but I think that might be just my childhood conditioning kicking in. I don't know if she
Yeah.
knows
Dude,
if
I
they
think
like it. Do horses like being ridden?
I think
I don't think so.
horses
I don't think so.
can, as in like they can be tamed. They're like they can be like dogs, as in they can just really
Domesticated.
love you.
well,
Domesticated, yeah.
the way
But
women talk about horses is always a bit creepy and beastophiliac-y, isn't it? How they're always like, they're magical creatures and you share a special bond with them.
yeah, some people do share that. But like some people, horse
they?
people vouch that horses are more loyal than dogs.
Yes, but here's my counter-argument. Horse people are weird.
You can't say that's not true.
Yeah, because they
They
spend most of their time on a
No.
farm. They don't know how the real world works.
Yeah,
Other
that's the
than
closest thing
they're
they have to a
fine,
human
yeah.
interaction is with the horse.
They usually get
See,
out of
this is
that
the weird
farm
thing.
for uni.
I don't know, because I've never had a close bond with a horse, but every horse that
They
I've
are
ever come back,
beautiful.
it always just looks as disinterested. Cows seem more interested in me than horses. And why don't you ride cows? They do on the rodeo.
Do they?
Why don't we race them?
No, they don't ride. Oh, they do. The bulls.
They try
No.
not to get off of them.
Yeah.
That's
They're not the bull that's like
What an
going up and
exciting
down
Melbourne
and
Cup.
flapping is not consenting to that ride.
Bulls. Yeah, they're not consenting to that, right? I mean, I think bullfighting's cruel. I've seen it.
Dude, those are
bullfighting's
definitely
way
cruel.
too
I
fast.
saw it in Spain.
Or
and
like-
I'm like,
And look, I'm pro monkeys with accordions. You know, like that's too far for me.
Or monkey smoking.
No, I actually am not.
Jordan likes monkey smoking. You remember the Indonesian monkey that was like a pack a day?
That was
Really?
awesome.
He liked
Jesus.
that.
Yeah.
When I first saw that, I was like, dude, that is definitely abuse. But then he was like, but come
So
on, he's got a
dystopic.
10-year life in. He was
so dystopic, though.
It is really dystopic, but I just want that real life experience. I remember watching this one documentary about how cool would it be to be in the 60s and then just to go into the heart of darkness in Africa to research with Jane Austen chimps. And look, unlike her, you're not really a scientist. You're just some hippies with some camera equipment. And you're just in there and you're in one of those huts. And then they said, yeah, Chim was looking at us smoking some weed and like, he like, you could tell he wanted some. And I think they were just really high. But anyway, they were just
Really?
like, you could tell he wanted some, so we gave it to him. And he smoked up with us. And yeah, he was a pretty cool guy. You got to say, man. Like,
I mean,
that would have been sick. Don't you think? Getting high with a chimp.
I mean, we used to like hotbox a room at my friend's house, and his dog was in there getting really stoned. Is that cruel?
Oh, yeah, that's really
Dude, that is...
because they don't process weed like we do.
I don't know about... Dude, actually...
I mean, we didn't do it on purpose. We weren't like, we just didn't think about it. We were like,
But
oh,
apparently,
shit.
weed is not as bad for dogs as you think. And I found this out when my dog accidentally
Somehow. Yeah, here we go.
ingested my
Yep.
brother's pot brownie. So I had to take him. He was just high as fuck, right? And I freaked out. So I took him to the hospital.
Yeah, it happened to Indy.
And I told him
Ate one of
what
Joe's
happened. And the vet told me, she was like, I'm more concerned about the chocolate than I am of the weed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the same
So
thing
he
happened to
had to
Mrs.
spend.
Dog.
He had to spend that night at the hospital, and like they gave him charcoal, which apparently is a
what
thing.
an embarrassing conversation you had, Ali.
Yeah, but I blamed it on my little brother, and it was his fault.
Yeah,
But to be fair, it was
she's
also
not
my
thinking
dog's
that.
fault.
You're just be like, my little brother somehow got some brownies. She's gonna be like, and then just writes down animal abuse. Go on.
my poor dog ate a weed brownie, and she was convulsing and pissing herself.
Yeah, but when I saw that, I was like, there's no difference between the first time I had brownies. I was fine with it.
You have to-
Convulsing
yeah.
and pissing.
You kind of have
Yeah.
to. You kind of have to write it out. I mean, that's
Exactly.
all you can do. That's all you can.
All
do.
you can do is just chuck on some Zeppelin. That was
Yeah,
it. You
yeah.
really save yourself $400.
More than try like $2,000, dude.
$2,000
Yeah.
for a vet to say,
Put her on a drip.
yeah, and you should give her a blanket.
Pretty
A
much.
drip?
A drip.
Yeah, well, see, this is the whole thing. Your ex just babied that dog way too much.
I know.
All you do is just give her a pack of Cheetos. God, it's so much cheaper.
Yeah, well,
She
look,
wasn't. She wasn't conscious. She was like,
Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, if you could film me the first time I was having brownies,
Believe me, I know.
it would have been exactly the same
I've had the
footage of
same
me and the
experience.
dog, and also except for mine was way worse because then there was just a bunch of people that were like 2 years older than us at the party being like, oh, he's freaking out. He's freaking out.
so bad.
Yeah, you make him touch his balls.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there being like, I can hear you, I just can't control my body.
I hate brownies. Christ.
yeah, I mean,
Hey, let's not say things. I like them.
Oh,
I'm not a fan either, actually.
Dude, I
No?
hated them. I was just like, oh no.
Not my...
Actually, here's the thing. They're not good if you have them one off, but if you get that tolerant, like I did for that weird 6-month period of my life where I just turned into Cheech and our good friend Joe Jackson was Chong, that was pretty good. Yeah. That was a pretty wild ride. That wasn't bad. And then the other thing as well is we started getting good at the proportions of it.
Yeah.
Then it became cool.
You've got a higher tolerance. You think you're like, oh, I can't do weed. I'm like, no, you're fine. You're like, you are Cheech. You're fine. You can take your. This is bullshit. You can take it fine.
Speaking of, you know why I actually really liked brownies? Our dear friend Fat Goth. You know how you say that he's the funniest man alive? Try him on brownies.
Him on anything would be amazing.
I was convulsing with
Laughter.
laughter.
Really.
Chong had to keep him away from me, but again, because I couldn't control my body, I was just like, wait, come back. I wanted more.
See, you can
See,
take it.
this
You
is the
can
greatest
handle
thing
it.
of all time. It was all my humour summed up in a nutshell. Remember Maxine McHugh, the chick from the ABC that ousted Howard out of his seat?
Oh, of course.
No?
No,
Well,
sorry.
I think she was your local member, but okay. That guy, she was just in everything, just being like, the Wonder Woman of politics, obviously, because she was ABC royalty, and she got rid of that awful Howard.
Mine was Joe Hockey.
Yeah, that's right. But the Chinese North Shore, that was her.
Right.
And
Chatswood.
he just poked out the mouth. And it was, I've got to say, as scary as it was hilarious, because Chong put me up in his bed while the rest of the party was happening, while I was convulsing, just looking around.
Yeah.
And then he snuck up into the bed, got next to me, and I was just kind of like, I can't look, I'm going to die of laughter. Then he goes, Jordan. And then he puts that magazine on his face and goes, I'm Maxine McHugh, and I just ousted the Prime Minister. And I was like, and then Chong kicked him out of the party.
He was like quality control, making sure the vibes were on check.
All right, well,
I think that's it. I think you just have to be in the room of the world's funniest man if you're on brownies, and then it's fine.
yeah, it's fine. Good company. All right, well, thank you for joining us tonight. Do we want to make a little bit of an announcement?
Yeah. Yes, we do. Ladies and gentlemen, you know how we have the worst Twitch setup in human history? Well,
We're about to have the second worst.
we're going to make something that somewhat beats this. Stay tuned next week to see the new and improved set, and then I assume get bored and then click out and go look at a lot of pornography like I'm sure you do. But just, can you look at that first? Give us that and make sure that you sign up to the Friendlyjordies Podcast for more up-late blue material.
Join the Friendlyjordies Podcast Patreon because we kind of need the funds again.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
This recession's hitting us all.
Yeah.
This recession has truly
He's not going to buy
hit
out to
us.
buy a house. Come on, mate.
Yeah.
No,
I've got expensive taste.
At the moment, the couches will help to cost. Anyway, see you guys. Bye.
Thank you.